going to call the meeting to order. Mrs. Audra, would you lead us in the pledge? Thank you. And now we'll observe a moment of silence. Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Shivi, Breckus, absent. Zadra, Delgado, Dorch,
Here.
Jordan, Cashel, absent.
Moving on, we'll go to public comment. Johnny Larkins? Oh. Stephen White?
Good afternoon, City Council members. Again, I risked my life to drive over here today on my motorcycle to talk to you, and I want to talk to you about special events. First off, I want to clear the record. The last council meeting, your deputy city attorney got up here and tried to represent what my concerns were, and what my policies or my ideas are about the special events codes, and she misportrayed what I had to say and what my meetings with her. First off, I want to let you know that I never ever proposed that you limit your festival events to only people from Nevada or anything so silly in my life. Of course, you cannot do that. What I have been trying to get across to everybody is that, you know, you have a wonderful opportunity here. You've got all kinds of talented, creative people around this area. I talk to them all the time, crafters, people making things with their own two hands. And I want to open up more opportunities. And let me put it this way, I want to create more equal opportunities for people from all over this community to be able to participate in your public special events. Those are events that are held on public property and open to public participation and public attendance. I don't understand. There's an interesting thing going to happen this weekend at the Italian Festival. You see, your staff, according to your new codes that you passed two weeks ago, designated free speech areas for the Italian event. But you look on the map and you know where they stuck them? Way down at the end of the festival, behind the farmer's market, next to the guy selling cabbage, I guess. And there's one 10 by 10 foot space allowed there. Now, as a comparison, over in Sparks, they have by code 7 designated areas, and each of those areas have 5 10 by 10 foot spaces for free speech. But what I want to draw a picture for you here. You got this wonderful event called the Italian Festival. It's got some great food vendors there, all making their own things and stuff. And there in the middle of your event, you're going to have a whole bunch of vendors that are selling resold merchandise made in places not in America, like China and India and all over the place. And they're just buying and reselling stuff. And I find it interesting that the only artists you're going to find in your art and cultural event, the real artists from your community, guess where they're going to be? Way down there at the end of the festival. Is that the kind of events that you want to have? You know, we got to start addressing this. We got to start cleaning this up. We got to start reaching out to more local people, made in Nevada products. People from California come over too, but you got to get back to rule number 1. I've done festivals for 40 years. For the first 25 years of doing festivals, you know what rule number 1 was? If you didn't make it with your own 2 hands, you can't be in an art and cultural event, in a festival. And you need to get back to doing that. So after the election, we're going to start working on all that stuff, folks. And I look forward to working with you all. And God bless you all, by the way, for the service you give to the city. Thank you much.
Thank you. David Shikar?
Good afternoon, Mr. Dorch, honored council members. My name is David Shikar, independent artist. You all know Mr. Mark Markill, who comes up here. He always gives a wonderful public service announcement about the dangers that happen about drinking and driving, and I want to tell you what an impact Mark Markill had upon me personally. I work as an independent artist, and oftentimes I go into private homes and draw the guest of honor. And recently I was doing that, and somebody said, "Dave, you want something to drink?" And I said, "Yeah, as long as it's not alcoholic, because I got to be driving." And then the host kind of laughed, and I don't know what was up with that. She goes, "Do you like tea?" And I go, "Yeah, that would be perfect." So they gave me this thing that I had never drank before. It was called Long Island iced tea. It has alcohol in it, but I didn't know that. It tasted really good. So I'm sitting there and I'm drawing away and I'm drinking this. And after about, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, something like that, I was feeling kind of loopy. Well, I finished the portrait. They paid me. We talked a little bit. And somebody asked if I could give their daughter and her a ride home. So I have a mom and a 3-year-old in my car with me. Now, I didn't know that I was impaired. I just knew that I was feeling a little bit lightheaded. But when I went to put my key in the ignition to start the car, what flashed into my mind, and this is what I'm very grateful to you for, Mark, I remembered Mark's talks about what happens if you drink and drive. So I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know what was in that drink, but I know that I'm impaired. I better not drive." So we made other arrangements, as did I. Anyway, Mark, I wonder, would you be kind enough to stand up and just acknowledge your presence for the people here that may not know you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Mark Markill. Let's give him a big hand. Thank you for doing something that actually may have saved a life. Thank you very much.
Andrew Diss.
Good afternoon, Councilman Dorch, other council members. For the record, my name is Andrew Diss. I'm a member of the Reno Charter Committee. Last week, I sat through a meeting of the FAB, and Councilwoman Jardin touched on a topic that we had actually talked about a few months ago at the FAB, and that was taking a look at possibly combining some of the services of Reno Municipal Court and the Justice Courts. And a few months ago, when some judges from Reno Municipal Court came and talked to us, one of the things we found out was that there are some areas where we think that there can be a consolidation of maybe some of the administrative services that these two court bodies do, but the fact that Reno Justice Court is overseen by the county is outside our scope on the Reno Charter Committee to address. So I just wanted to put it on all of your guys' radar. I know Councilwoman Jardin has been thinking about doing something and taking a further look. So I just wanted to come here and ask for you guys to take a stronger look at that, because I think there's a real opportunity for some cost savings to the city and to the county by combining some of those services. And I just want to encourage Councilwoman Jardin to continue with her efforts on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Ronald McGee.
Good afternoon, City Council, Substitute Mayor. I'm going to hit on some positive stuff today because I can do both good and bad. That 9th and Sutro, I want that house taken care of. But what did happen that I've been on for a couple months, if you go down to Record Street, you'll see all the sidewalks are clean. They repaved it. They put white lines down each side of the railroad track, says stay back. They put one limit line like a crosswalk. You couldn't put a crosswalk because there was a railroad track through the middle. So they finally took care of it. That's one. Two, I just really think everybody should step up to the plate and vote for Chuck Allen for sheriff. He's honest. He's public friendly. And he will straighten out Parr. And it has some problems out there. Three, I'm not real happy the way they handled the sergeant with a DUI on Reno PD. When Phelps got 60-day suspension, the Olympic swimmer for DUI, and our sergeant got 45. I think he got full pay. And I know he had to ride a bike for 45 days of the research I did. But he's back on duty. He's got all 3 stripes. And I think more should be done with that. I think Pitts will do something. And the third thing, the police department better step up on this jaywalking and crosswalking. They need to do some commercials. And you might as well make a law that you got to stop for any pedestrian anywhere because you just keep hitting them. So you might as well stop. And let's see, I'm on 114 Record Street. Anyway, I already talked to him about 9th and Sutro. And I know my background a little bit. I do have a little background in military police, Army, and I do a lot of senior veteran rights. There is a law out now. You have to be past 65 to really be a senior. There's special laws that protect you, but you got to be not 64, you got to be 65. And I'm a couple months short of 70, even though most people think I'm a lot younger. Anyway, I got more hair than Sam Dene, and I can talk more than him too, believe it or not.
3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you 30 seconds.
Mark Markel. I know.
Hi, my name is Mark Markel, and I'm a Country Heights City Council member. And Mr. Dorch, I'm city manager. Anyways, my name is Mark Markel. I'm a Country resident. I want to be an example, and I was a good one to this. I forgot his name, but thank you. I was a good example. I want to be an example of what can happen if you get in a car with a drunk driver. And I suffered traumatic brain injury. I was in a car crash. We rolled 8 times, and I got ejected, and the car landed on my head and put me in a coma for a month. And I had a rough time after that. I just don't want people to get in the car with the drunk driver, because it messes you up. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Dene.
Sam Dene, the Encyclopedia of Reno Government, and the driving force for 90% of the good things that these folks have ever done. I was also the driving force and spoke against most of the bad things that have happened in Reno in the last 20 years. I'm an Air Force Academy graduate. I spent many years flying fighters and bombers, defending our nation against enemies inside of the border and outside of the border. I've been to these podiums more than all of the rest of the citizens in the community added together. And if anybody wants to challenge that statement, please come up here. You can have 3 minutes to do it. At any rate, nobody challenges that because nobody has been up here 4,765 times, and that includes Washoe County, I have to admit. At any rate, today I'm here, and I was a driving force that brought Tesla to Reno. One of the biggest things that ever happened in this community. Now I'm going to be a driving force, if not the driving force, at least at these podiums, to do away with this thing called a margins tax. It's called Bill number 3. Vote no on it. The margins tax is really a revenue tax, disguised, false flag, disguised as a margin tax. They're gonna tax all of the revenue of any organization or company that that has $1 million of revenue, not profits, just revenue. And that takes care of probably 90% of the little businesses in town. So this margins tax, revenue tax has to be shut down. I can't even believe they're doing this. The least they could do is make it a profit tax. This is a tax on total revenue. My other operation is relative to this de-aggrandizement. I call it the de-aggrandizement of our mayor. Having the Reno Gazette, the antediluvian Reno Gazette, write anything about the mayor is disgusting. If they cannot write about Sam Dene, they certainly should not be writing about anybody else. And I'm trying to bring freedom of speech into the forefront. The freedom of speech brought up to date says, as Americans, we have the profound national commitment to the principle that debate on public issues should be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and may include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks against government and public officials, and in the case of Reno, Nevada, against the antediluvian Reno Gazette and the rest of the Reno media that is scared in its pants of Sam Dene, the most important person who has ever been in this community ever, Sam Dene. To have a whole article about 12 years of the Reno mayor who was on stage with Sam Dene 2,467 times, and there's that article, not one mention. They are so scared in their pants of Sam Dene at the Reno Gazette, it is disgusting. Having an article about Cashel and not Dene be like having a report about the Yankees without mentioning Ruth or Gehrig. It would be like talking about Abbott and leaving out Costello. The Reno Gazette needs to be dismantled. Of the which? I was the driving force that drove that young man away who had too much iced tea. What was the question? I missed it. I didn't even know. I would have given it a try. Somebody else.
Thank you.
Is that what you're saying?
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Richard Bartholet.
Mr. Dorch, council members, Mr. Klinger, I'm here to lay claim to the 10% that Sam hasn't staked out. No, actually, I'm here to talk about the Regional Alliance for Downtown. Remember, our tagline is every great city has a great downtown. Our Life and Culture meeting, our committee, met on September 29th, and some follow-up. The Circus folks have scheduled their mural marathon for this coming year already, and that is looking very promising. The Life and Culture Committee also discussed several ideas for different types of art on the railroad track lids, following up on, I guess, impetus sort of put in motion by Councilman Jardin. And that committee meets quarterly, typically on a Monday evening. And if anybody wants dates, we usually post those on our website. The Safe and Clean Committee moved its regular monthly meeting forward a week and met yesterday at noon to have a presentation by the Siegel Group regarding their plans for the Truckee Lane building, also known as the Hughes Porter building. Council members Zadra and Jardin were both there, and thank you for attending that. I think that this is something that's of great interest to our membership and, of course, to the city, and we will weigh in on this. The Economic Influence Committee, you've seen our infographic now. We're informed that it's being used, and some people are making posters. I want you to note that we did make a few minor corrections that we said we had a final version, but we didn't. So last week we made a few other minor corrections. It will be the centerfold of the Northern Nevada Business Weekly insert in November, and will be featuring all the 7 districts in that insert. And finally, our general membership meeting is scheduled next to meet on Thursday, October 16th at 7:30 a.m. in the Stadium Club of the National Bowling Stadium. And the city staff will then be presenting their process for updating the city's master plan, including description of how the city, UNR, and Regional Transportation Commission have been coordinating their efforts. So there's your update. Thank you.
Thanks, Dick. Eddie Lorton.
Mr. Dorch, City Council. My name's Eddie Lorton, for the record, and I would like to, coming up, we have an election. It means a lot. And I think Ray Pezzanello's a nice man, but as of today, I'm going to be supporting Hillary Sheevy for mayor, and please don't let us down, okay? Because I think the good old boys have to go, and I think now the tides are changing to where now what once was the majority vote is going to change after this election. So I look forward to the up-and-coming progress that we will make. And then I ended up also, I seen on an agenda item here, we're going to talk about how we're going to, fill that seat. And I was thinking about it large for a minute, but for me, it was mayor or nothing, okay? So now where I'm at on this thing, a lot of you are thinking about the special election, but to waste $270,000 for a 2-year seat, I don't know if we can afford that at this point. But if you appoint someone, I think, Miss Idora Silver, she was next in line. I think she's a wonderful lady. She's well-spoken. She's together, and I think she would do a great job. So in the future, I'll be watching. If I don't like the way things are done, I'll be back in 4 years. I learned a lot from that election, and I won't lose this time. But if things are good, I can just do my business and enjoy my life. So now, right now, I'd like to also, on the agenda, we have H2 again. We're going to give more land away on Court Street. I hope we can get together in majority rules, and I see today probably we won't have that vote, but we claim to be not in debt, and we're paying our bills because of forbearance agreements. So consider that before we give assets away on H2, please. And I'm just trying to cover a lot of ground here because this is all I can speak today. I had an engagement. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it. And I'll try to get all my supporters and the people that phoned in why Bob endorsed Ray to beat me to vote for Hillary. Thank you.
Johnny Larkins?
Hello, City Council members. I'm honored to be here, and I'll vote for you too. My name is Johnny Larkins, for the record. I have two business. One's Armed Safety Button is an app that protects women and children from harm and make those accountable for what they do to hurt our family members. Also, I have a nonprofit organization, and it's called Save Protect Foundation. SAVE is the acronym for Stop Acts of Violence Everywhere. So far this year, we've raised over $200,000 worth of food that we deliver to families in need. Not just food, but also beds, clothes, furniture. I can't believe in this country we actually have kids sleeping on the floor. Even worse yet, we got seniors that are been abandoned by their family members, sitting in their own feces, or don't have a way to get to the store. The food bank doesn't deliver, and they can't get there. And anybody that donates to the food bank should understand that they donate because they don't get food from them, okay? The stores give food to the food bank just before it goes out of code. By the time the people get it, most of the stuff is expired, okay? We should do better by people that are in need or by our seniors. Also, the seniors, they're got dementia or Alzheimer, and it's hard to remember they got food on the stove, which is dangerous for them. We deliver 4 to 5 weeks for the food, make sure we give them a lot of TV dinners, so that way it's safe and microwavable. And when we do visit the seniors, we visit with them because they're lonely, okay? This year we're trying to raise $100,000 for families in need. We're going to try to do 500 families, make sure that they don't go this year without Christmas, okay? Last year we did it, we had help from Walmart, Safeway, Outback Steakhouse, Costco. We deliver all throughout Northern Nevada, Tahoe, and Truckee. So we deliver. We need help with that. And I know that the city council does have a budget that they can help out in their districts and stuff. And we're asking if you can help us. I also brought the 501c paperwork so you know that we are a nonprofit. You can write it off, But we want to end the year on a good note for these families in need. There's nothing to say Christmas like having Christmas trees. Home Depot donate most of the trees to us. We had over 250 trees donate last year, and we're trying to do more this year. There's nothing wrong with us. There's a lot of us in here, things we take for granted. Century Theaters gave us movie tickets for the holidays, and the little girl called me for a week talking about it was like a big old TV screen. It was so much fun, and I go to movies all the time, So if anybody wants to help us, it's saveprotect.org. City councils, please get behind us. We're trying to make a difference in our community, a positive a positive difference, and we'll make sure that kids have enough food for the month of December, clothes, food, present, and a Christmas tree, and we need volunteers to help deliver it. So anything you can do to make this happen, we're very appreciative, you know. And Hillary, once again, got my vote. Love you, and thank you guys very much for listening. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Lorenzo, is it Bozarin? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning. Good afternoon, actually, members of the council. My name is Lorenzo Bulgarian, and I'm here representing the student body of Innovations High School, located at 777 West 2nd Street. And I'm here in regards that Innovations doesn't have a school zone. And we at Innovations are concerned for the safety of our students, because at times when our students are crossing the street to get to school, cars slow down but don't come to a complete stop. And at other times, cars don't slow down at all. And not only are we concerned for the high school students, but for the children of the students that are in the nursery next door to our school. And every day, the students the children go on a walk to the river, and as they cross the river, they go through the same problems as the high school students do. And the school zone is not only an issue that we want, but an issue of safety for our students and our students' children. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know that I am aware of that, and I think that they were installing it this week. And then the other thing we'll work on is a crosswalk. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's happening. I thought actually it was already installed, the school zone.
Not yet.
Not yet?
No.
Okay. So
Thank you.
It's not installed yet, but it's my understanding that Alex Woodley is working with our traffic engineer on this issue. So.
all right, perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and let me know anything with RTC that might need to be help facilitate such a thing. Thank you.
James Jones?
My name's James, and I'd actually like to thank you for the school zone. I didn't know you've set it up already, but thank you, City Council members and Mr. Mayor. I would like to share this concern with you. I am here because I'm concerned that one of our students or one of their children will be hurt because we do not have a school zone. Traffic passes by our school going 30 miles an hour or more. This creates a dangerous situation that could end up seriously injuring someone. Our PE class takes walks by the river, and our nursery uses a large, bulky stroller filled with young children that takes walks by the river as well. We are not asking that you create a new law. We are just asking you that you enforce the one that already exists for our safety. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. David Rivera?
Thank you, City Council members and Mr. Mayor. My name is David Rivera, and I would like to take this opportunity to redress a grievance representing Innovations High School. And I have noticed we do not have a school zone. It violates the NRS 484B.063, which states that a school zone means those sections of streets which are adjacent to school property, which means basically any street that touches a school should be a school zone and a school crossing zone. The NRS 484B.060 states that a school crossing zone means those sections of streets not adjacent to school property that pupils cross. Thank you for your time, and I would appreciate for your help in making a school zone where students and their children attend.
Thank you. Having no other public comment cards, I'm going to close the public comment section. City manager announcements. Mr. Klinger.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. First, I want to announce a new monthly workshop designed to educate business owners on how to assess their venture prior to licensing and launch. The 90-minute monthly program will be held here in the council chambers from 7:15 to 9 a.m. the second Friday of each month, beginning this Friday, October 10th. The program is free and open to the public. The workshop is a collaboration between the City of Reno and the University of Nevada. And for more information or to register, you can visit nevadasbdc.org or you can call 784-1717. Next, I wanted to let the council and the public know the City of Reno's Public Works Department will be hosting a public meeting here in the council chamber on Tuesday, October 14th at 5 p.m. Based on a request initiated by the public. Staff is proposing the reduction of a portion of Center Street from Virginia Street to Cheney Street from 2 lanes to 1 lane. The purpose of the lane reduction would be to provide additional parking options in the area for residents and for visitors. Wanted to remind the council and the residents that the City of Reno is hosting a public safety forum on Thursday, October 23rd at 6 p.m., also here in the council chambers. Attendees will learn how the city and its partners work together to provide public safety services. The forum will address topics that were brought up as issues of interest in a community survey. Wanted to thank staff for all the work on the March from the Arch. Wanted to commend our community and staff on the success of the event last Friday for the homecoming parade. The second annual event saw a significant increase in attendance and even more parade entries. Majority of those were UNR students. Big thanks goes out to our special events staff, police department, and public works department, specifically Alexis Hill, Lieutenant Scott Dugan, Officer Donna Bonet, and Supervisor Jason Bogle. The March from the Arch was another great example of how the city can come together as a team to support our university and help put a great special event together. And finally, the Reno Fire Department will again be supporting Breast Cancer Awareness Month during October by wearing pink uniform shirts that have a white ribbon on the left sleeve. Fire Department is selling the shirts for $10 each, with the proceeds benefiting the Moms on the Run and Susan G. Komen Northern Nevada nonprofit organization in Reno. As a special token of their appreciation, Fire Department has given, I believe, to all of the council members a shirt. Neoma Jordan is wearing hers. I think Hillary is wearing hers. I wore my pink tie. Guys didn't wear the shirt. And I understand that a representative from the fire department would like to come up and say a few words.
Hello, Council. My name is Brandon Blackburn. For the record, just want to let you know that you look great in pink, and you look especially great in Reno Fire Department pink. So thank you for wearing your shirts. We have decided to raise money and to make sure it stays here locally. So thank you for your support and allowing our department to wear our pink shirts for the month of October. 100% of the proceeds that we raise are being donated to both the foundations. I would also like to recognize Anthony Talicon, owner of Think Ink and Thread, for printing up our shirts, and he is also donating back his portion to our foundations. So this is Linda, and she's a representative from Moms on the Run. And we just thank you for all the stuff that you do here locally. The Pinocchios are an amazing family. They do so much for this community. And we would just like to present you with $1,000 for today.
Wow, thank you. And I'd like to say thank you on behalf of Moms on the Run organization for your efforts to help us raise funds to help our local women and keep the funds local. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. And just a little update, we are about, just from our men, we ordered about 250 shirts. When we opened this up publicly, I just placed an order today for 400 shirts. So we're on the right track. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Mayor, before they all vacate the premises, I like to follow in the very large shoes of our mayor that's not here today, and would like to put my money where my mouth is and give a contribution and challenge everybody else up here, or encourage everybody else up here to do the same. Having had friends that have fought through the disease and had a personal scare myself, I have a contribution, so I'm not sure who the accountant is in the group, but there it is.
Okay, moving on to approval of the agenda. We have item J2 is being pulled. We have public comment at noon. Proclamations, C1 and C2. We also have presentations today on economic development and the Reno Historical app. We have a public hearing, item F1 Bella Vista Ranch, and no public hearing this evening. Any other changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, may I just make a comment on J2? Because I know there's been some questions and some discussion on J2, and I just want to clarify why this was pulled. Staff had originally planned to present this item to the new council on November 12th, and in error, we placed it on the agenda today. This was not an item that was requested by any of the council members or the mayor. It was an item simply that staff was working on, was planning to bring it on the 12th, and simply in error placed it on the agenda today.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. I really appreciate that. I just want to be clear, this is not something that I put on the agenda or orchestrated. So I would like that on the record. Thank you.
Okay, any other changes? Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Approved? Motion carries unanimously. Approval of the minutes from August 27th and September 24th. Any changes or corrections? Got a motion, do I have a second? Got a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Cash disbursements.
Move to approve?
Got a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Proclamation. Ms. Jordan. Maybe.
I'm going to hit a button and. Okay, we're setting up the props here, so, okay, are we ready? Are we ready? All right. Okay, I get the distinct honor of presenting the Fire Prevention Week proclamation today and doing it with this fantastic shirt to promote a wonderful cause. So thank you for orchestrating all this. Whereas the City of Reno is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all people living in and visiting our city, and fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire. And home fires kill more than 2,700 people in the United States in 2013, according to the National Fire Protection Association. And fire departments in the United States responded to 369,500 home fires. And in reported home fires, working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in half. And 3 out of 5 home fire deaths result from fires in properties without working smoke alarms. And in 1/5 of all homes with smoke alarms, none were working. And when smoke alarms should have operated but did not do so, it was usually because batteries were missing, disconnected, or dead. And Reno residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room, outside each separate sleeping area, and on every level of the home, and smoke alarms and alert devices should be installed that meet the needs of people who are deaf or hard of hearing. And residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. And Reno's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and residents that are responsive to public education measures are able to take personal steps to increase their safety. And whereas the 2014 Fire Prevention Week theme, Working Smoke Alarms Save Lives, test yours every month, effectively serves to remind us that we need working smoke alarms to give us the time to get out safely. Now, therefore, I, Councilmember Neoma Jardin, on behalf of Robert A. Cashel, Senior Mayor of the City of Reno, do hereby proclaim October 5th through 11th, 2014 as Fire Prevention Week.
Thank you. For the record, Mike Hernandez, Reno Fire Chief, Mr. Vice Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the council. It's my pleasure to introduce Jeff Donahue, our Fire Marshal. He will talk about some special guests that will be partnering with us during this month to spread this fire safety message.
Thank you, Chief. Council members, Jeff Donahue, your Fire Marshal. With the National Fire Protection Week theme of Working Smoke Alarms Save Lives, I just wanted to give you some brief information of what the Reno Fire Department has been doing. In the past year, with assistance from our partners, the American Red Cross, Washoe County Emergency Management, Washoe County Senior Center, the Washoe County School District, and plus our neighboring fire departments, in the past year, we've been able to distribute over 450 smoke alarms to the community, and these are just some of the examples of the ones that we've been able to give out. Particular note is the one for the hearing impaired. I believe we've given over 200, close to 300 of those out over the course of the past year. So, and many of these alarms have been actually installed, not only just handed out, but installed again with the assistance of our partners, our firefighters, and our fire prevention staff. So with that, I'm not declaring that I'm an expert in smoke alarms, but I'm here to answer any questions about smoke alarms. But again, what I wanted to do is introduce a couple of our partners. First, our good friend Sonia Sistar with the Living with Fire, and then also we have a representative from the Red Cross. So Sonia? You moved on me.
I'm sorry. Thank you. And as we well know in this area, despite our best prevention efforts, wildfires are going to happen. And so just tying into that to remind everyone to have an evacuation plan for getting out of your home for a house fire and getting out of your community during a wildfire. So I brought along some evacuation instruction bandanas for you all to thank you. And if anyone in the audience would like one, to just go to our website, livingwithfire.info, and send me a message and I'll send you one. So thank you. And we're very happy to be partnering with Reno Fire Department, as always, an awesome partner, as well as Red Cross. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, City Manager, and council members. My name is Claire Andriola, and I'm the Regional CEO of the American Red Cross. As you've heard today, smoke alarm saves lives, and we're absolutely thrilled to again be partnering with the City of Reno to do just that, to prepare citizens throughout all of Northern Nevada so that we can save lives. 60% of deaths occur due to home fire because of a non-working smoke alarm. Not only not having one, but not having one that operates. The City of Reno should be celebrated in terms of looking at the specialized alarms for the hearing and deaf, those hearing impaired individuals. The Red Cross, in partnering with the City of Reno's Fire Department, has installed several of those, and we're going to do that again this year. The Red Cross is rolling out a national 5-year campaign, and on October 11th, we're going to be canvassing the neighborhoods, those particular neighborhoods that need particular attention. And the City of Reno's Fire chief and his staff has provided us with incredible maps so we can target those areas that are needed. And then on October 18th, we're going back out into the community to install smoke alarms. So we can't thank you all enough for the support. We have a great working relationship. This, again, will continue into perpetuity, even though it's a 5-year national campaign to reduce serious injuries and deaths by 25%. We look forward to the long partnership and living with fire and all the organizations that are dedicated to saving lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Mayor, again, Mike Hernandez, Fire Chief. Before I dismiss, I just want to recognize 2 individuals as part of our prevention staff, Captain Trey Palmer and Inspector Investigator Jennifer Donahue, no relation. Jennifer recently apprehended a serial juvenile larcenist in the last month, which was a significant task. She did this on her own. And Captain Palmer was the lead investigator on our smart meter fires that we were having, and their depth and expertise is just nothing short of impressive. In fact, Jennifer just recently returned from specialized training where she worked with cadavers and the effects of burns to cadavers. My hat's off, because I don't think I could have done that. But that just goes to demonstrate our depth and expertise and the professionals that we have in our service. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item C2, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Mr. Delgado.
See who else we got.
Brian Sudi, Suzanne Ramos.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor and City Council. I have the opportunity here.
You're losing your quorum.
I'm losing my quorum.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Oh, hold on.
It's 4.
You're
We got 4.
Never mind.
We're good.
Oh, he's up here doing 2 jobs.
Yeah,
It's all
I'm
good.
sorry about that. I forgot that. Council members.
Way to multitask, Oscar.
Yeah,
That's
for that, exactly. Here to present for the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas family and domestic violence continues to be prevalent as a social problem, and whereas the problems of domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people that cross all economic, racial, affectional preference, and societal barriers and are supported by societal indifferences, and whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy and dignity, security, and humanity due to systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and or abuse, and whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting society as a whole, and whereas it is battered victims and survivors themselves who have been in the forefront of efforts to bring peace and equality to the home. Now, therefore, I, Oscar Delgado, on behalf of the Reno City Council, do by hereby proclaim October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I have here Mr. Cadlick, of course, and Suzanne, and Brian.
Thank you, Council.
Absolutely.
First of all, I want to introduce Brian Sudi, who is my interim criminal chief, and Suzanne Ramos, who is our lone victim witness advocate. And I have 2 other people that are also on the task force. These 2 are on the task force, and that is Penny Coulter, who's not here, and Michelle Sarkissian, who is not here. Just make a couple of quick comments. You know, it's recently, in this last month or so, we've seen the NFL and what domestic violence, it's really brought it to the forefront. And while it is bad what has happened to those victims of domestic violence, it has brought it to national attention. And let us hope good things come out of the bad that has resulted in the NFL, and that there'll be a greater understanding of domestic violence. And I know I've got 6 weeks left on my term, and during the 8 years that I've been here, we have vigorously prosecuted crimes of domestic violence. We provided, particularly Suzanne Ramos, has worked very, very, very hard with victims, with witnesses, to make sure that we can prosecute those cases. I know Mr. Sudi's worked very hard leading the prosecution of those domestic violence cases. And while I know both of the 2 people who are seeking the city attorney's office, I'm very confident that both will continue that effort to make sure that all the victims of domestic violence get their justice before the courts of this city. And again, thank you for the proclamation. I appreciate it on behalf of Suzanne, Brian, Penny, and Michelle for all the hard work they've done on the Domestic Violence Task Force. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item D1. Mr. Thomas.
Mr. Vice Mayor and Council, Bill Thomas, Assistant City Manager. This is the time on our agenda each or twice a month where we take the opportunity to recognize and become aware of both the City Council and the community, the many diverse and creative things that people are doing in our economy. Today, we have for the Council a presentation from Jean Harrison, who's the founder of Easy Keeper Herd Manager. And she'll explain what her business is, and I think you'll see it's very interesting in terms of what comes out of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Good afternoon, Mr. Vice Mayor, Honorable Council, and distinguished guests. Thank you for the invitation to present an economic development update about my company, Easy Keeper Herd Manager. Easy Keeper is an internet-based livestock operations management and online marketing solution. We are building out the product for dairy goats right now because that's my core competency, but in 2015, we'll be expanding it to all livestock species. Easy Keeper serves producers of meat, milk, and fiber products ranging from small operations of, say, 10 animals to thousands. Our subscribers include local food producers to dairies that distribute their products over multiple states. We currently have subscribers in 7 countries. I launched Easy Keeper in 2009 with just a few features so I can start gathering market feedback. Up until October of 2012, I worked full-time bootstrapping the project. Even though the majority of my income went towards the development of Easy Keeper, wow, my voice just got bigger. I could only afford 1 part-time engineer, and at Bay Area rates, that's very slow going. So looking for opportunities to move my company forward, my husband and I last year started looking for a place to live where we knew we could grow our company. Reno was a hot contender for us because we have family in the Bay Area and we have family in Northern California, and we love all that the mountains and the desert offer. However, that wasn't what made our decision for us. Rather, we found Reno's entrepreneurial community to be warm and welcoming. We appreciated that the city itself was deeply committed to growing its startup community. We loved 1 Million Cups. We felt that Reno's collective would be a fantastic place to work, and we were excited to be part of the fledgling startup row. Personally, I was super excited to find all the female entrepreneurs that are here. So in last year, in July, we became Reno residents, and it was a fantastic decision for us. In November, Ashley Jennings invited me to participate in the Girl Made Accelerator pilot program. Ashley had presented in the very first 1 Million Cups event that I attended, and I knew that was the kind of project that I needed to be involved with. The Girl Made Accelerator helped me realize that while we had a really great product, we had no business. And without a business, there would be no way that I could realize my vision for Easy Keeper. So I think I can sum up my experience with the Girl Made Accelerator as an ongoing series of aha moments that really made my head spin. As a Girl Made participant, we applied for and received a Reno Accelerator Fund Award. This injection of capital was critical to the business as it allowed us to build a marketing program which we didn't have. And that includes rebranding our website and the service with a more contemporary design. We're talking 2007 design is really out of date. Redesigning the public website to support inbound and social media marketing initiatives, implementing a referral program, providing sales funnel support within the website itself, creating a long-term marketing plan so we can be ready when we start launching those other livestock species, and providing a community where livestock producers can come to get industry information, a calendar of events, and educational materials. We have engaged 2 local design firms to help us with our website efforts. And once it's complete, they'll move from the website to the interface and to redesign that as well. The redesign of the interface will give us mobile optimization, which is absolutely critical to be competitive in our market. The website is due to be launched on November 15th, and the redesigned interface for the users will launch 1 month later. Additionally, we have hired a UNR School of Journalism student to produce inbound marketing content, such as blog posts, articles of interest, and interviews with industry experts. To round out our marketing team, we have hired a chief marketing officer, also from the local talent pool. On the engineering front, we've replaced that Bay Area developer with a local developer and have brought on a UNR computer science major as an intern. We're also currently in the process of finalizing the contract terms with a second intern who is a recent UNR graduate. Throughout my career as a project software manager, I have worked with geographically scattered teams. And I tell you, it's really wonderful to not only have my team all in the same time zone, but when we have project meetings, actually having them in the same room. I wanted to thank the council for its bold initiative supporting the development of a thriving startup community, and I'm pleased to be putting funds back into the community as we build a great future for our company, create high-paying jobs locally, and broaden the economic base of our city. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think that the question is, have we ever had a better ROI, return on investment, for the $20,000 that we gave in this accelerator fund, which, by the way, comes from CDBG, remember. Kudos to you.
Thank you very much. Thank
What a
you.
good-
Kudos to you,
what
too.
a good resource.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just further that, how many employees do you have now?
Well, we're still working with independent contractors. Okay. We have 7.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. And having been raised on a farm, I can tell you that this is wonderful news. If my father still runs the farm, if I could just get him to move past the flip phone, he would be on board. So.
Okay.
But no, this
I'm
is
willing
great.
to talk to him about that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item D2. Who's handling that? Is that you, Bill? Oh.
That's me. Hi. I'm Alicia Barber. I'm a historian here in Reno, and I serve on your Historical Resources Commission. I was suggested that I come here by Andrew Klinger today, so thank you very much. I'm here with Donnie Curtis. Donnie is the head of Special Collections Department at UNR Libraries, and we have formed a very collaborative community partnership to create this app, Reno Historical, that we're going to show you today. Okay, that comes up here. All right, so Reno Historical, it's a free smartphone app. It's for iPhone and Android with a corresponding website that you can find at renohistorical.org. And it allows you to explore Reno's history through an interactive map, which you're seeing now, that leads to stories and photographs, images, and audio and video clips. We had our official launch on Reno's birthday this past May at the Lake Mansion, and some of you were at that launch, so thank you for that. We had just over 70 sites or stories at that point when we launched, and we're now up to 103, and we keep adding more all the time. This project represents a very exciting collaboration between the University of Nevada, Reno, and the broader community. I serve as the editor of all of the content. Donnie serves as the project manager, and we have a lot of contributions from different community members with historical expertise. We have some students who have been involved. We've hired some other folks. So we teamed together to get this project started. It took us over a year to get it off the ground. We both felt that Reno has just an incredible and unique heritage, but it's not marked very well on the landscape, and sometimes it's very difficult to see and appreciate. And we believed that a digital history project could really make a difference. So Donnie secured funding from a state library grant. We were also supported very early on by the Historic Reno Preservation Society, HARPS, a community-based historic preservation group. We got additional support from Nevada Humanities, and a major partner has been the RTC, which has been incredibly supportive in helping us develop content in conjunction with their corridor studies. So over the past year, they supported the production of content for 4th Street in conjunction with their 4th Street Prater Way corridor study. And for the next year, we've just found out they'll be sponsoring content for all of Virginia Street in conjunction with their next rapid transit project that will go all the way, we'll have content all the way on Virginia Street from University down to through Midtown to Plum. So rather than creating a new app, we license an existing platform, but we work very closely with its creators. We create and load all of our own content. So there are updates happening all the time. There'll be a really good update this fall that adds a bunch of new features and improves the Android interface. So Donnie's just kind of taking you on a little cruise kind of through here, but we'll show you there's a few ways that you can explore Reno's history. And so we're on the iPhone now. The first one is just by starting with the map. So if you start on the map here, you can see that what she's been doing is you can click on any site around you and just see a historic site. If you click your GPS feature, you'll get a little pin that'll show you where you are. So it's, yeah. Okay, so here we are downtown, we're in City Hall. So you can see kind of around us, you could just be walking along and you could see the site where the Mapes Hotel was. We've really tried to default mostly on sites that are still here because part of our goal is to show you what is historic in town. But there are some sites that we really need to include that have been so important to the community. So we include those and tell a story. So for each one we have text, we have a number of photos, we have some audio and video sometimes. And so that's one way to do it then, to be looking around you. You know, we've got the Virginia Street Bridge. We have places that we know are historic around us, the downtown post office. But one thing that's really fun is that you can explore and say like, what's historic over here? The Journal building, this is actually now Pizza Reno, but it's one of the oldest commercial buildings that we have in the city. It was one of the first homes of the Nevada State Journal. So you can see what it looks like now with a very modern facade, but then you can very quickly go back and see a drawing from 1878 of what it looked like when it was the Journal building. And so it really helps add so much more dimension to our understanding of place and of where we live. So that's one way to do it, is just by walking around, playing around, seeing what's around where you are. A second way to explore it is through tours that we've created. So these are thematic tours. They're not all intended to be walking tours, although we can add more of those. But we've tried to group together buildings in the community on a specific theme. And we really started out, I think, by trying to pick some themes that weren't perhaps most obvious, you know, things that people might not associate with Reno. So we have sacred landmarks, you know, we have churches. We have, of course, a really great tour of the University of Nevada. But for each one, when you click on it, I don't know, let's do weddings and divorce. Tying and untying the knot. Reno's very known, you know, for its being the divorce capital of the world, for being a place to get quick weddings. So we have an introduction to that. And then we go through, and here we have the Washoe County Courthouse. We have places people stayed, like the Riverside Hotel, a lot of old historic boarding houses that were used for divorce that are now any number of commercial properties or private residences. And then again, you can get the full story. You can see fun historic images this is from the divorce era, celebrating freedom. We found a lot of great archival photos. Here's Arthur Miller getting his divorce here before he married Marilyn Monroe. And what's been great about it being hosted by Special Collections here at the university is not just that we get the benefit of all of their expertise and knowledge and support, because Donnie's been incredible, but also letting us use those archival images for free. And that's wonderful. And we've partnered with all the historic entities in the community, so there's a buy-in from everyone that it's credible, it's accurate, and everybody's allowing us to use their material for free, which is terrific.
There's a video.
Oh, yeah, I've got a video here. So, let's see.
I may not get sound, but you get the idea.
So we have, when it comes to the audio and the video, there is historical documentaries, there's archival footage, there's new documentaries, there's new oral history, interviews, there's historic things. So it's really a wide range. And then you can also go back to the homepage and search for specific things if you wanted to find something particular. Search for Casals and get Casals Halfway Club. So we're really trying to engage with the community. And really, you know, we saw that there were so many possibilities for this. I mean, our goals to help people appreciate Reno's unique heritage, you know, in a primary way, much of which is still all around us, to encourage people to walk around town and explore the city by foot. Try to encourage this walkability, all of these connections, and that's for both residents and tourists. To provide business and property owners with interesting information about their building's heritage and character. We're researching East 4th Street and found out that the building where Under the Rose Brewing Company was actually the first electrically welded building in Nevada. It started out as a welding business, and the owner would weld at night and show this whole display of fireworks, and it became kind of a big attraction to watch him do his welding because no one had seen it before, just the fun little things like that. And give people an easy way to quickly learn more about Reno than they might see on the surface. Potential new residents or business owners, to give them a side of Reno that isn't perhaps immediately apparent. So we've had a lot of really good connections. We've already made partnerships. The Riverwalk merchants have been super supportive. They're actually going to sponsor our first round of window clings. So we'll have window clings where people can kind of see a picture, get the website, get a little QR code that will take them to the website. The Regional Alliance for Downtown, Dick mentioned their infographic a little earlier. They put a Reno historical URL on the bottom there, so that was great. We're just wanting to get more exposure for it. The university has been a great partner and is promoting it among all the students. So because it has a website dimension also, you can link to it, and it will take you to the page. The website manifestation has the same content. It's just arranged a little bit differently, and there's a little more information available on the website because there's more room to put some things with various links and such. So we just want people to know about it, to link to it. If you have a website that it makes sense to try to, make a link to Reno's history, please do. And it's just been a really great partnership. I'm doing all the talking, but did you want to say anything, Donnie? No, you did a great job. Okay, Donnie's been terrific. So we're just moving forward, and hopefully by next year we'll have doubled the number of sites on it. We can expand it indefinitely.
Yeah, that's fabulous. That's great.
Yes. And what? I know. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, very exciting. Yeah.
So it's a platform that's called CurateScape, and it's actually created by a public humanities center in Cleveland State University. So it's from kind of an academic base, which makes it very affordable and very responsive, and it's called CurateScape. So it's the same platform as being used by Spokane, Baltimore, New Orleans, a lot of different places all over the country.
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
really great.
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you.
Thanks. Moving on to the consent agenda. Anybody have any items they want to pull?
E6.
Is that it? Can I get a motion to approve the remaining items?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. E6.
Thank you. I think I know the answer to this if there's a police representative here, but I just wanted to confirm because we've had some people speak during public comment, and there's certainly been a lot, unfortunately, a lot in the news recently about pedestrian injuries and deaths. And I wanted to find out what this grant, I believe I know what it covers, but I'd like to hear from the chief.
Honorable Vice Mayor and Council, Steve Pitts on behalf of the Reno Police Department. This specific grant right here, let me just give you some numbers initially to answer Mrs. Jordan's questions, really about fatalities and then pedestrians over the last 3 years. In 2012, we had 15 fatalities, and 8 of those were pedestrians. In 2013, we had 12 with 6, again about half. And this year, thus far, we've had 8 fatalities, with 3 of those being pedestrians. When we examine those accidents, ma'am and council, I would say almost 50% of the time, the fatality becomes error on the pedestrian's part. Crossing mid-road, crossing in poor lighting, situations like that. The grant specifically that we're talking about today is going to cover, excuse me just 1 minute. Specifically, you had 2 comments today about elementary schools and crosswalks, and this grant will cover the $34,000, will assist with elementary school enforcement and education of pedestrian safety with children in and around the schools. That would include the community and the schools that were selected and impacted. So.
Okay, so this is specific to the schools. And the reason I'm glad you just gave some of those statistics, yes, some of that data, because I would like that and like to take it to the RTC and look at it from a regional perspective with the yes, county and Sparks. You did say 50% is relative to pedestrian error. So obviously PSA type information might be helpful there, but I wonder with the other 50%, and this is where the data becomes very, very important, if it's a lighting issue, if it's a crosswalk issue, if it's the need for a flasher issue, those are things that we need to be looking at the RTC. But pedestrian safety is not just a Reno thing, it's a regional thing. And I would like to have that addressed at the RTC, and the data would be very helpful so we can plot a course of action.
Yeah, absolutely. With all due respects to Mr. Metzger, who we lost a couple of years ago, there was a combined effort between us and DPS, Tommy, Deputy Chief Robinson, excuse me, in the corridor, really from downtown up through North Virginia to Bonanza. We had about 17 pedestrian-related accidents during the course of when that incident occurred, and we knocked those down. So you're exactly right. It's an environmental scan, look at things that are going on regionally, what kind of education are you doing, and we have a statewide system, ladies and gentlemen, that tracks all that regionally for us by county, by city, and by state, and it's broken down and reported, I believe, at least every month. So we're receptive to anything in this area to reduce these injuries and fatalities. So.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am.
I look forward to having further discussions with this body and with the RTC to see how we can improve safety, pedestrian safety in our community.
Thank you very much.
Do I have a motion to approve? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. E9.
Yes. Question. Looks like John Flansburgh was on this one. If I can just have a map really quick, more than anything else, informational. Charlotte, you going to do that? I understand this is part of the widening of McCarran in the southeast. Is that correct? As part of the overall project?
For the record, Charlotte Honey from Public Works. Yes, it is part of the project that RTC is implementing right now.
Okay.
Correct. Soon.
And as part of that, are there sidewalks that are being put in place? And if you can just, do you guys have a map in front of you that you can kind of show?
I do not have I have a map. The attachment shows the individual areas. I could get you a map of the overall. Yes, there will be sidewalks added in the location that currently has no sidewalks, which is predominantly north of Miraloma Park, and then also the curve at the corner between Rio Poco and Miraloma.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of the folks out there were waiting for this, and because I know it's been phased in, and so as part of that, there's going to be added vegetation, sound walls, and all that good stuff. Who currently does the garbage pickup now on the phase that's already been done?
Currently, NDOT, Nevada
NDOT.
Department of Transportation. Yes,
We don't touch any of that. Once it's all been said and done, are they going to then give to us to do?
No.
To take care of?
This agreement calls for certain things to be maintained by the Nevada Department of Transportation and other things to be maintained by the city. Predominantly, the things that we're agreeing to maintain are the items that we've requested to be added to the project, such as the landscaping, the pedestrian path, the sidewalk. They'll maintain the asphalt, the medians, the sound walls.
Okay. When do they start the project up again?
I believe that the project is scheduled to go out to bid soon, but I'd have to get that back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Motion.
Second. Got a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Public comment or public hearing. Item F1, Madam Clerk, have proper notice been given?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, proper notice was given. We received one letter of concern from Marcia Mercado and one letter in opposition from Neil and Laura Vanskoy.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I'm going to open the public hearing portion. Any public comment cards? I have no public comment cards. Anybody in the audience want to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the table.
So this is bill number 6920, ordinance to amend Title 18, Chapter 18.08 of the Reno Municipal Code, entitled Zoning, Section 18.08 102B.1309, to change the text in the PUD Development Design Standards to relocate the 8-acre elementary school site from the south central portion of the site in Village A to the northeast portion of the site in Village C. 2, to increase the acreage of Village B by 10.6 acres from 34.6 acres to 45.2 acres. And 3, reduce the acreage of Village C by 8 acres from 59.9 acres to 51.9 acres located along the south side of South Meadows Parkway and extends to the south 3,785 feet, 0.73 miles along the west and east sides of Veterans Parkway in the PUD zone in a PUD planned unit development zone together with other matters properly relating thereto.
Mr. Vice Mayor, as this is in my ward, I reviewed the plans, and I don't know, unless there's further discussion, I move to refer.
I think we need a motion to uphold the recommendation of the Planning Commission first, and then a motion to refer.
Move to uphold planning recommendation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now you can do that.
And now move to refer.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Resolutions. Item H1.
Resolution number 8008, resolution approving major fund designations for fiscal year 2014.
Anybody have any questions on this? Motion? Anybody? Got a motion to adopt and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item H2.
Resolution number 8009, resolution of the City Council of the City of Reno determining that certain real property located at 250 Court Street, Reno, Nevada, is not needed for the public purposes of the city, and directing the conveyance of the property to VSA Nevada, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so long as the property is actually used for charitable or civic purposes pursuant to NRS 268.0055.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Quick discussion. I understand staff may have some clarification in terms of us speaking to Andrew for.
For the record, Charla Honey from Public Works. I did have a map for you, and this is the opportunity for council to consider conveying this property to VSA Nevada for public purpose. The property has been city property for quite some time. VSA Nevada moved there, or actually the Lake Mansion moved there in 2002, and the property has been under lease with VSA Nevada since 2004. And I apologize that that lease agreement and this map did not get included in your packet, but they are now on the dais.
Thank you for that. And just quickly, maybe the big reason we're doing this, I know we spoke about it last time around, but was it a burden on them that they could not continue with the current lease that they have now, or?
I don't believe that it is. I think it provides them the opportunity to do a little more with the property, but I can probably refer to.
Do they have a representative here that can answer that?
Hi, Mary Ellen Horan, Executive Director at VSA Arts of Nevada at the Lake Mansion. 10 years ago, we moved the mansion to the site and have really partnered with the city to conduct workshops, art camps, exhibits, and everything else. It's mostly to simplify the arrangement between the city and VSA Nevada. That's pretty much it.
So, excuse me, has it been working? So the last 10 years, it's been working between the City of Reno and VSA Arts?
Right.
Right, okay. So I guess I'm kind of confused as to.
Well, it's more to simplify the arrangement that we have. And also in 29 years, the lease is over. And so just so there's no more question about the use of the land and everything else, that this was brought up.
And I guess my other concern is that we will all be long gone.
Me
and
too.
This will be something that the city can have and people can continue to enjoy it. So for me, I'm just a little concerned as to if it's been working. I would like to see the city keep this property. And how much do we charge you for the lease?
It's about
$1, right? Is it $1?
No, it's $500 adjusted every 3 year for CPI.
Okay. All right. So it's very affordable, correct?
Right.
Right.
Maybe, Andrew, maybe you can answer this, is if it's given to them, and it's not used for what's stated in the current agenda, does it revert back to the city?
Yeah, in the staff report, and it's under NRS 268.055, that if it has to be used for a charitable or civic purpose. And so if the city does take action to convey this property to them and they do not use it for that purpose, then it comes back to the city of Reno.
Okay. I mean, that makes me feel better in terms of that it won't be used for another purpose. And let's say it does not happen, hopefully it won't, and you guys continue to be successful, and that's what we all want to see. But in the case that 5 years down the line it doesn't, and a big developer shows up and wants to purchase from you, that won't be the case. So we continue to be in the public's best interest.
And I might add, we've added improvements of over $1 million on it. Okay. So it's...
Yeah, with that being said, I guess for me is just coming back and thinking about, will this help you or will it not? Do we need to do this or do we not? And I think that's where I'm trying to, thinking straight more as a policy-wise, is this, do we need to, is it working? And if it isn't, then I can see us possibly going that way.
To add an asset to us would be invaluable. I mean, it is a little bit confusing when foundations ask or people ask, now, what is the arrangement? Now, what's going to happen in 29 years? Every 3 years you have to renew it, or it's a little bit confusing. And I think both the city and us thought, okay, this might be the time to say, okay, since it's been successful for 10 years, we've absolutely done what we said that we were going to do. I think just to take pride in it, that I don't think the food co-op would have moved in there. I don't think Salon Deluxe, the picnic or fly shop without us being there really as the anchor of that area. So it just simplifies it all.
What about if we extended the lease? I'm just concerned we're giving up an asset in the city, and I love what you do. Honestly, you guys have done a great job.
Thank you.
For the record, Susan Ballroth, Deputy City Attorney. The lease right now has 29 years left, so you don't need to extend it. It will continue, and at the end of the 29 years, it could be extended, or anywhere along the line, you could take any process.
Okay. Well, I guess if it's working, that's what I'd like to see, it continue to work. So, and I'd like to...
Mr. Vice Mayor? Since Councilmember Breckus isn't here, and I don't see where it was answered in the paperwork, there was a question about parking, public parking outside of your normal usage hours. I don't see where that's addressed in here.
For the record, Chair LaHoney, we did have a discussion about the parking use outside of the normal hours, and that is addressed in the current lease, the amendment to the lease, actually. It wasn't felt that that would be a great benefit because of the nature of their business. They have rentals, they have parties, they have things of that nature at night many times that the use would be very difficult for the competition would make it difficult for them to operate their business in that way.
Okay, I'm a little confused by that. So
Okay.
I understand if there's a special event that and you guys do some great stuff with kids' arts, by the way. Children have enjoyed them. My question is this, so let's say on there's the River Festival, and there's a great need for parking down near Wingfield Park, and you have no event, you're not open, there's nothing going on. Is there something that prohibits the public from parking there?
There's signage on it that it's for use for the Lake Mansion. And the issue with that is, and it is in the amendment of the lease, that if the city of Reno wanted to use it for something, that they would call us and say, can we park this particular time period for it? But as was said, we do workshops, we do camps, we have rentals, we have weddings there. The whole parking lot's taken up with tents, and I would hate to have the city, not the city, but the public use it, and then we have a car there, and Camelot Party Rentals is there to put up tents, and we have a real issue.
And that's kind of playing out worst case scenario. So I guess my question is this: if we're coordinating with special events,
And I would see that's where the need would largely rise from, down in that area for parking. Whose responsibility is it to place some coverage signage to say, for whatever event or for X hours, the public is allowed to park here? Whose responsibility would that be?
Susan Ballroth, Deputy City Attorney. The lease, as it's currently written, does not provide for public parking and only provides for City of Reno city vehicle parking.
I'm having a hard time with that, particularly during special events when there is a demand and a need for additional parking. And if there's not a conflict with an event, I think there needs to be an agreement that lays out who does the signage and that it is for that event, for that time period, open parking.
But clarification, I meant the current lease that you're under right now. That's what it provides. The document purchase and sale to convey the property, if it proceeds, does not address a parking easement for public parking as it's currently written. And I'm just explaining what the document says.
Okay. I'd like to hear from other council members.
Mr. Mayor, Tracy Chase, Reno City Attorney's Office. For clarification, if you wanted to add such a condition, it would need to be in the agreement that transfers the property. Also, the fact that it stays as a nonprofit or civic uses, that's a covenant that runs with the land, so it will go to successor companies or businesses that are nonprofits that could utilize the property. That reversion would only come back if it fell out of that category in NRS. If you wanted stronger reversionary language, you have the ability to do that as a grantor as well.
I guess I'm just not getting full clarity in the new agreement how we might be able to share the parking during high demand.
Yeah, that would need
event.
to be actually specifically be listed in the agreement and be cause for reversion back for some reason if there was notice. But it's doable if you wanted to direct that.
For VSA, was there discussion with staff about that very use, special event parking, when you do not have a function happening in yours? Was there discussion about it? And
We briefly discussed it. I guess on VSA's part is a huge issue of liability. If somebody gets hurt in the parking lot, is that going to be on the City of Reno or is it going to be on VSA? That would be, I mean, even now after events, you know, I'm cleaning up the parking lot, picking up papers and bottles and everything else. And a major concern would be the liability issue if somebody got, and we every 3 or 4 years, we restripe it, we pave it, we do all those things to it. I mean, we've taken good care of it.
Similar or dissimilar to our parking responsibilities in front of what used to be the Gazette Journal. I'm forgetting what we call it now. On 2nd Street.
UNR.
Where Ollie is. Yeah.
The Nelson Building?
Yes, the Nelson Building. So how could this be structured more like that?
My understanding, and this is kind of a stretch because it's been a while since this has been discussed, is that we own the land that that parking lot is on and that we lease part of it back to UNR for use of the Nelson Building. So we own it.
So who has liability?
We do.
Okay, so that would be a similar situation, I would think.
Unless there is some agreement in the lease agreement that gives them liability. I mean, again, I don't have that in front of me, nor have I even seen it.
Mr. Vice Mayor Tracy Chase, Reno City Attorney's Office. I have the lease in front of me. They are required to have insurance that covers the property. And those insurance requirements are maintained with the lease agreement itself. Deputy City Attorney Roth was correct. The lease indicates it's just for parking of official vehicles currently in this. But what I was referring to, if you wanted that as a condition of the transfer of the property, you could enter into that agreement.
Councilwoman Jordan, I would also point out too, if you deed them the property, you might not have a say in the matter. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is there an urgency to this? Because I'd like to get more clarity on that. And I understand that there'll be some. I think the liability issue you've kind of somewhat addressed. I know it needs to be more fully brought forth to us. But when it comes to maybe some cleanup and et cetera, I kind of feel like
heck of a deal on the property, so it's a fair trade. I would like to see, I don't like to see parking lots that are restricted in use when there is a demand for a special event in our downtown.
You know, just some historical value maybe is when we did this 10 years ago. I mean, I think you probably could have convinced us then to give you the land, other than you were just, we didn't know how it was going to operate. We didn't know. It was, I think, on both parts. I think it was, let's get them there, get them set up, and get them moving and see what becomes of this. I think it was a vision that all of us kind of wanted to see, and it's turned out to be a great vision, and it's been great for the area. So, I mean, I don't, there's not really any value to us to maintain ownership of that property. I mean, there's a 29-year lease on it. I mean, you can't sell it. There's really no value to it. They have done everything that they said they were going to do when they moved it there, and it was quite the event.
It was.
And you know, it's, you know, from my standpoint, I think it provides a great value to downtown, and if this makes their operation cleaner and work better, I don't have any reservations moving forward with it personally. But if you need some more time for some more clarity, or, I mean, I'm happy to do that. I just don't see, I mean, from my standpoint, it's like I said, I mean, again, I think 10 years ago, if we'd had a better idea of what it was all going to play out to be, I think we would have given them the land then. I mean, Sharon, you can.
Probably would have.
I mean, you can chime
Yeah.
in, but
It
I mean, it
was-
really was, let's get them there, let's get them set up, let's get them moving forward, and see what this becomes. And it's been fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm seeing this possibly being pushed out, but I think this may be a case study for us too, in terms of how are we going to start viewing the properties that are currently out there and who's using them and for what purposes, and really think about the policy as we start moving forward. If things are working, and it seems like my first question, is there a burden? It didn't sound like there was at all about continuing leases and continuing agreements with what we currently have. And if we're going to start to give land away, I think that changes a lot in terms of we need to have a little bit more deeper understanding and conversation about that. Because I think we all know that things are starting to change and turn in our downtown area, and we need to be a little bit more conservative about how we play those roles.
Well,
Not to say that you won't be there for successful in any way.
I think it is those changes, the changing tide, and boy, it's nice to see it's welcome for us. I'm probably speaking for you, and I may not characterize it correctly, so please step in if so. But that's exactly why they're looking for a little bit more stability, because it will become more challenging for them to secure money from foundations to continue their sustainability and viability. Is that what you were attempting to describe?
When you ever have an asset like that, and I don't have to explain it, I mean, people have even said, well, what's going to happen in 29 years? I don't know. Hopefully I'm retired by then. But I think it does give us the stability that we need as a nonprofit organization.
For the record, Chair Lahoney, if you'd like to see an amendment to the agreement that includes that City of Reno coordinate with them for special events and request the ability to be able to use that parking as public parking during that time, we could certainly work on an amendment such as that with them if you prefer to go forward with the conveyance. So.
That's what I would like to see. I'm certainly not questioning the value of this nonprofit by any stretch. I would just like to see, a coordination with the city with regards to high demand parking needs in the Wingfield Park area when it doesn't conflict with something in which you're doing. That's
well, and I will share with you, I get calls from Art Town or Theater Works or those people on those high event weekends, and they say, is it okay if I park my car? Absolutely, it's fine. We're not going to tell you. But I guess I'm just really concerned about the public parking there. You do it one time, and then we have an event, and then they say, well, we did it before, and it was okay. I mean, that's what you hear people say that while they're getting towed. They say, well, I parked here before. So I guess that's my major concern, that we would need to tow if we have an event And people have parked there before because we said it's okay. It's 13 spaces plus 2 handicap accessible spaces. So it's 15 spaces. But I absolutely work with, especially like during Art Town, they call me, no problem if you want to park there.
But I guess
mean,
the
I
general
almost would-
public coming down to attend
Right.
Art Town, how do they know that? I think it's a signage issue, frankly. And I give more credit to the general public when they can read.
Mhm.
And I kind of feel like if we do an effective job with signage, we
Right.
can distinguish the parking situation. So that's the only rub or issue I'm having with this.
Mr. Mayor, I think if we continue this for 2 weeks so that it comes back to us on the 22nd or 23rd, our next meeting, that would give you enough time, Charla and staff, to build some,
Two meetings out?
yeah, in 2 weeks.
Oh, in 2 weeks,
Uh-huh.
not 2 meetings. Okay.
Right, in 2 weeks, to kind of work out the distinctions that we've been trying to describe here at the table.
So you want to withdraw your motion and make a motion to continue this until the 22nd?
Mhm.
Okay, so I've got a motion to continue this until the 22nd. Do I have a second? Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Motion carries 4-1. So we'll
Thank
see
you.
this on the 22nd.
Okay.
Is there still comment? No.
Moving on to item H3.
Resolution number 8010, resolution accepting street Sierra Canyon Village 11C, a portion of Sugar Creek Trail.
Ma'am? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. H4?
I am going to reassign the prior resolution I used for VSA so our numbers aren't out of order. And so that would be resolution number 8009, resolution accepting street Sierra Canyon Village 12A, portions of Dutch Hollow Trail and Wakefield Trail.
Move to adopt.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. H5.
Resolution number 8011, resolution accepting street Sierra Canyon Village 12B, portions of Callaway Trail and Wakefield Trail.
Move to adopt.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item H6.
Resolution number 8012, resolution accepting streets Sierra Canyon Village, a portion of Wakefield Trail.
Move to adopt.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Ordinance introduction, number I-1.
Bill number 6921, ordinance to amend Title 8 of the Reno Municipal Code entitled Misdemeanor Marijuana Drug Paraphernalia and Related Offenses, prohibiting certain activities related to medical marijuana by revising sections 8.17.010, 8.17.030, 8.17.050, 8.17.070, and adding section 8.17.080 relating to public ingestion or consumption of medical marijuana, adding section 8.17.090 relating to loitering outside medical marijuana establishments, adding section 8.17.100 relating to the penalty and punishment for violations of certain sections, and adding 8.17.110, allowing an affirmative defense to certain charges together with other matters properly relating thereto.
Do I have a motion to refer? Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, please. Quickly for the public, medical marijuana, we know this is going to take place, but again, just for clarification, where is it going to be legal on the streets, where not? Summarized as we just approve this. Can you do that for me?
Sure. This is Sean Oliphant. I'm outside counsel that's retained by the city manager's office, and we had actually 3 ordinances that we dealt with. The first was the zoning ordinance, which dealt with the locations of the medical marijuana establishments and where they would be allowed and where they would not be allowed. So that was covered previously in the zoning ordinance. We then addressed the business license and privilege license. That's in Title 4 and Title 5. And this is really the last amendment that we have to make the city's ordinances in compliance with the state law. So it doesn't address where they're legal, where they're not legal. That's addressed in the zoning ordinance.
I think I just read here in the staff report, medical marijuana dispensary, they can't be smoking the medical marijuana in front of their establishments, correct?
Yeah, there's a couple of the revisions we made really were to recognize that those who have medical marijuana registration cards are exempt from prosecution. And so we had to amend our city code to say that they're exempt from prosecution to the same extent as they were exempt from prosecution under state law. So we made some revisions to that when they could and when they could not raise an affirmative defense. And really the two things that we did in addition to making them consistent with state law was, one, we were concerned with loitering around the establishments. So myself, the city manager's office, and Deputy Chief Robinson met a number of times and thought about these ideas. And one of the statutes that we added was the loitering, so that we don't have people who are not authorized to be there hanging around, which could increase crime. And so we developed a loitering statute, and that's in there. The other thing that we did is it's kind of a nuance of state law, but there's no exemption for prosecution if you're found with medical marijuana in the public. So we wanted to have an ordinance in the city to make it clear that to be consistent with state law, there's not an exemption for prosecution if you're using medical marijuana out in the public. So that is in there as well. It's supposed to be limited to private places such as home use. Being a San Francisco Giant fan and being to two of them now, World Series parades with my kids, it's important for us, for the city image, that the medical marijuana wasn't being consumed downtown, in cars, et cetera. And it also, the police department wanted an ordinance which recognizes that fact. So those are the two things that were added. By state law, you can't consume the medical marijuana in a medical marijuana establishment.
Yep.
So that's another area where we kind of clarified to be consistent with state law.
So it's not, you can't use it in public spaces. You can't use it in your car, even though that may be private. You'd have to be in their homes. And and even though you're a medical marijuana card holder, you can't do that in the public. So okay.
That's right.
Clarification on that for those that are listening.
That's right.
Is that it? Anything else? We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So I just wanted to thank the city manager's office, the city attorney's office. We were able to work through all three of these ordinances under the original contract that the city manager authorized in time and under budget. So we're appreciative of all the help.
Thank you. Moving on to item J1. Who do we got handling that? Is that Bill?
Mr. Vice Mayor, council members, for the record, Bill Thomas, Assistant City Manager. We've agendized this as a update discussion, potential direction, but in reality, kind of what we're bringing forward is more of a status report. Certainly, if you have direction for us, we'll take it, but we did want to bring you up to speed on what we've been doing as far as the Virginia Lake Water Quality Project. We had a meeting, an informational meeting that I believe a couple of the council members attended on September 18th. It was very well attended, and there's a lot of emotion and strong opinions on what we should and shouldn't do to the lake. After that meeting, we kind of regrouped as staff and decided that it would be wise to probably have a second meeting to follow up on some of the things we heard at that meeting, give the people who participated some answers. Look for some more middle ground, because part of what we're seeing is I think people are kind of polarizing on positions, and most of the discourse really is about the island. And so we just felt like there was more time that was probably needed to debate this publicly and let people understand each other's opinions. And ultimately, we're probably going to be back to the council on the 24th of November, because we're going to have another meeting that'll probably be late this month, another public meeting. It'll be at a bigger venue, so there'll be plenty of room for as many people as want to come. It will also have a neutral third-party facilitator. So the city staff won't be presenting it because some people felt like, I think, that there was a strong position of the staff, and ultimately it's not the staff's decision to make. So we'll be doing another meeting Hopefully from that meeting, we'll be able to bring forward a consensus recommendation to the city council in terms of how to respond to the water quality problems at Virginia Lake. So I simply wanted to present that to you to let you know what we're up to and see if there's any direction or comments or information you want to impart on us as we move forward in that process.
Bill, I would share with you the same conversation that I had with the city manager earlier this week. I think that obviously another public meeting is needed, and we gave at least 2, if not 3 weeks notice to the group that is most concerned about the island as it relates to the cormorant birds that are causing the issue, the water quality issue at the lake. We gave them a full 3 weeks to organize themselves and get their members in attendance at our public meeting. We did not do the same with the neighbors around the area. We did not give them the opportunity of notice way ahead in one of their already existing meetings where their entire membership was already there. We didn't do that with the neighbors, so it was a very unfair representation in my mind. I think that we need to give every audience that has an interest in this the time to be able to come and express. I don't think that the 23rd or the I forget the date that you just said, and that it's
24th
on
of
my
November.
calendar. I don't think that's sufficient.
Okay.
Mostly because one of the people who organizes that Country Club Acres group travels, and we would need to work through her and her ability to be able to communicate with the neighbors. So I think we need to put adequate time into it. If we're not under any condition, physical condition, that we're causing more of a problem there, a health problem there, then let's do it right as opposed to just get it done fast.
Okay, and we hear you. We'll make sure it's a very robust notification. I think we've sent out 3,300 postcards, but we'll do more.
And schedule it maybe for early November.
Yeah, the only time sensitivity is, of course, while the water is low, it's a lot easier to make improvements. But in the end, the right decision is more important than the timing. So that's what we'll work toward.
And maybe just for clarification, Bill, when you said the 24th, it was November
24th, yes.
Not
that it would come here,
right?
But the public meeting would
public meeting would be later
in a
this
week
month.
and a half.
So yes, and I think your issue was the public meeting needs more notice.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's my concern.
And I was just trying to make it clear that the soonest we probably see it coming back to council is November 24th, but it could be later than that.
Mm-hmm. I think the public meeting needs to give everyone plenty of
Adequate
notice
notice.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I guess you kind of answered it. If there was any real urgency, is there some other cleanup efforts being done right now, aside from the island while the water level is so low?
No specific ones because we identified some solutions. I think really what's going on is understanding broadly about what the problem really is and ultimately what we do in terms of measures that we take as a city to resolve that water quality problem. I think that's the big debate point. And, we're going to do our best to have people understand what we're trying to do, but in the end, it's going to be a choice that we have to make about how far do we go to address the water quality problem, because we do know what's unique, as I understand it this time, is we've had the algae there for many, many years, but we never really did the analysis of the algae, and so we now know that there's some pretty bad stuff going on in that water that we didn't know about before. So it does add a bit of urgency to resolving it, but there's no immediate health crisis. We've posted the lake to tell people not to get in the water. We've done all the prudent things with the health department to make sure that the public is protected, but we think something needs to be done, and there's several options. I wouldn't say there's a lot. That's kind of what needs to be debated, because all those options include, changes to the lake and costs.
Yeah, I would certainly rather do it right than do it fast. So,
I do have one person who'd like to speak on this. Oh, did you have something?
Yes, Linnell Garfield Qualls for the record. I wanted to just report to council that we have been looking at the island as the largest point source of nutrients to Virginia Lake. We also have non-point source. So this particular lake is receiving drainage from 4.3 square miles of our neighborhoods. And so that is a fairly large paved watershed, and we've done outreach, through the community outreach process of inviting the residents to show up for the meetings, as well as a lot of stormwater outreach of how to manage runoff from each of our residences and businesses. So that's something that's underway and ongoing, and we've focused and targeted our outreach in that neighborhood for this year. So part of the Truckee River Cleanup Day, we did storm drain stenciling, and we had I think we wound up, because it was about to rain, we had about 50 volunteers and we got over 200 storm drains in that drainage way stenciled. So that's ongoing, and we keep doing that regardless of what we do to treat the point source issue. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Again, I do have one person who would like to speak on this item, Dan Carrick.
Yeah, Dan Carrick, Hunt and Audubon Society. We support the city and Virginia Lake, and we want more study on the water quality issue is basically where we're coming from on this. We don't feel that the island is the point source of nutrient bloom. It's in a watershed that has a lot of drainage into it just from urban runoff. So thank you very much for moving this forward, and thank you very much for putting more of the citizen input into this, and we look forward to the next meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, moving on. Item K, K1, boards and commission appointments. Urban Forestry Commission.
That's Jenny, so we.
Oh,
wanna
so we'll just continue that to the
continue
next,
that one.
we'll continue that to the next meeting. Identification of any items for future agendas?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I think I already put my items on relative to the pedestrian injuries and deaths, and how we can bring that forward to the RTC and the City Council to see how we can maybe come up with a plan to address it. That's it.
Anybody else have anything?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if this is an item or not. Maybe it would best be described under professional meetings and conferences. I was in some training and research 2 weeks ago, and heard from the governments of Michigan about how they've, and of course Detroit in particular, who pretty much paralleled us with the disparity of the economic downturn that we had, and some of the things that they've done to be able to service, provide public services. And something that I heard from one of the municipalities was they created a 501c3 for their Parks and Rec department to be able to recover from their ills. And it's working very well for them to be a private 501c3 that totally operates their parks and recreation services. I thought that was very interesting, and I don't know if this council would want to consider something like that. So I'm not sure if it's a future agenda item or just a report. So I moved ahead 2 topics on the agenda if so. But since some of us have 2 more meetings to attend, it's not something that I would be able to champion through. So I'll just throw that out there. And if you want it as a future agenda item for discussion, or just want to hear it as a report that you got, it's your choice.
Yeah, I think any sort of creative and new ideas that can help our parks are certainly something that we should discuss further. And I think Jenny would be interested in hearing that, so.
Okay. Liaison reports. Anybody have anything to report?
Mr. Mayor, I had one more thing for the election.
okay.
Sorry. Can I get an update for the HUD consolidated plan? I know we spoke about it during the caper. If we can just get an update on what's going on with that. I know 15, I think, is when we do the next 5 years rollout. So just kind of see where we're going with that.
Okay. On to liaison reports. Anybody have anything to report under liaison reports? Seeing none. Reports from conferences and professional meetings. Anybody have anything? Item L4, discussion and potential direction to the city manager to utilize 2 or more hours of staff time to explore possible changes to city ordinance relating to sewer connection fees to encourage development of properties in the redevelopment area. Andrea, has the mayor talked to you about that? I mean, do you understand what he's looking for there? So you just want us to authorize the time? Is that?
Sure.
So someone want to give me a motion to approve that? Got a motion, do I have a second? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I guess L5 is probably something similar to that. Discussion potential direction to the city manager to utilize 2 or more hours of staff time to identify all possible funding sources that can be used to assist in the reopening of the King's Inn. I'm assuming he's talked to you about that too?
If I might, Vice Mayor and Council, we want to just make it real clear on I-5, we're not talking about general fund money. So when we talk about other funding sources.
Yeah, and anything would
it's
have
not
to
gonna
come back
include
to the
general fund.
council. It would
Exactly.
have to come back to the council. It just gives you
At the
guys an
end of the
opportunity
day-
to go out and explore it, look what the opportunities there might be, maybe meet with the owners and try to come up
Exactly.
with something that is beneficial to all and bring it. It would have to come back to this council regardless anyway. So someone want to give me a motion?
Yeah, and I just had a question. So the sale on that has closed?
November 15th.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item L6, discussion and potential direction to the city manager to utilize 2 or more hours of staff time to work with City of Sparks, Washoe County, and the Red Cross on a home fire safety community outreach campaign. Mr. Delgado.
I think that summarizes everything up. Move.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item L7, discussion and potential direction to the city manager to utilize 2 or more hours of staff time to prepare an update and recommendations on the aggressive behavior at West Street Plaza and opportunities for use of West Street Plaza. Ms. Jordan.
This is, and having a meeting yesterday where the Siegel Group came and gave their presentation to the Regional Alliance to Downtown with regards to the West, you know what, you have West Street Plaza. It's the concrete park.
Brick Park?
Brick Park, and it's got a different name. Brick Park. Yeah, it wasn't West Street Plaza, unless it applies to that as well. So I think maybe some opportunities to improve the security in that area might be coming forward, but it's gone beyond, as you've seen some of the letters and the citizens' input, and I've certainly been witness to it. It's gone beyond loitering. It's become very, very aggressive, and precisely what the answer is, I'm not certain, but it's gotten incredibly scary at Brick Park.
Honorable Vice Mayor and Council, Steve Pitts on behalf of the Reno Police Department. Just to give you some information, we ran an operation there on September 29th during swing shift hours and ended up making 1 arrest and basically interacting with a variety of, let's just say, younger adults in that area. What I've recommended based on that operation a week ago is that we may go into that area, Mrs. Jardone and Council, and conduct a survey like we've done in other areas, especially in the downtown district, talk to the community we serve, talk to the business owners, and then talk to some of the people that may be part of the problem, potentially in this case. The second thing is really take a hard look at the calls for service. I mean, analyze who's calling, the times, those types of things, and probably do that before the survey, and then conduct operations, not just enforcement oriented, but maybe do some SEPTEB things to clean up some of the environmental things. There's some CCTV in that area already. We may be able to enhance that and then run operations to support what the community and this council directs us to do.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And we did hear yesterday with the Regional Alliance for Downtown discussion, a number of the property owners were quite vocal about the increase in the unsavory and illegal activities that were occurring. And certainly as a parent, I can tell you that I have great concern about taking my child down there. It's become not an enjoyable experience. And I do believe that the more development we have and the more good things that occur there, the fewer bad things that will. But until we get to that point, we've got to address issues that are going on.
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
Thank you.
So any further action needed, do you think? You want to just hear back on what he's doing as of the,
A report?
yeah,
Vice
just
Mayor?
as you do the activities you're doing, I think the council would probably like to hear how it's working and
Yes, sir.
your perspective of it. Is that fair?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? We are adjourned.
4 minutes over.
Oh, give me a break.